I always thought my movie would be a comedy, not quite the tragedy that it's become.
All right. Well, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. You wanna do the introduction this time?
No, because you have it down pat.
All right. That's our introduction, everyone.
Oh, we're gonna keep that in?
Yeah. How's it going? Welcome to Movie Swap.
Episode
6.
Okay.
Yeah,
Damn.
episode 6, Movie Swap. I'm Mark Neesian, and we're the Uncaped Crusaders.
Still stuck in a Blockbuster.
Yeah, we've been in here forever. Well, you know what I realized? We haven't been in here as long as we thought because we have Upgrade over here and we have Red Sparrow up here. So we clearly have only been here since like 2017.
Yeah. Not that long, I guess.
But yeah. Anyway, we are here to talk about more movies. We got a couple new movies we watched. I watched Blackkklansman, and Ian finally watched the classic Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
Again, both movies that fairly topical with the political climate that we live in. Yeah. So that'll be interesting to get to.
Try to keep it as non-political as possible. Mainly just focusing on the movie, but of course it's kind of impossible not to talk about certain things.
Right. So I guess we can go ahead and I'll just start. I'll talk about. You want to talk Blackkklansman first, or and then save the majority for Gone with the Wind?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's more to talk about with Gone with the Wind.
I'm honored to be speaking with you, sir. I'm not afraid to say it. I consider you a true white American hero.
Is there any other kind?
No, sir.
I'm just happy to be talking to a true white American.
Amen.
2018 movie.
18, yeah, I think I said 17 last time.
Yeah. But 2018 Spike Lee movie with John David Washington as the main character and Adam Driver as the two stars of the movie. And it's the first black police officer in Colorado Springs, and he ends up infiltrating the KKK, basically posing as a white guy with Adam Driver being the physical white guy and him being the one on the phone talking with the different leaders. And just an investigation. And that's what the movie is about, this single investigation from these characters. And so right off the bat, that's a great premise for a movie. It's
true
a great
story.
Yeah, and I didn't know it was a true story till I was looking it up afterwards because I just thought it was ridiculous. And I was like, oh, that's a really interesting idea. Yeah. Whoever came up with that is really smart. And then I was like, oh, that's a real story.
Yeah, Spike Lee's not that smart.
Holy crap, I would never have thought that would be a real story. Like, it's one of those that's so far-fetched.
Like Argo or something like that.
Even more so.
Oh, yeah.
A black police officer infiltrates the KKK. Right off the bat, you're like, that's... I remember, I think when Spike Lee, someone first approached it to him, his first thoughts were like, that would be a great Dave Chappelle sketch.
Oh, I would. This blind
That's what it sounds like.
Oh, totally.
Like, you would totally believe.
Oh, now I wish he had a cameo
Dave
in it.
Chappelle would do a thing where he's just an actively black person just being a member of the KKK. I mean, it's like full bore.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're just like, that's such a great idea.
That's a good point.
But it's a real story and a very serious story. And I love how another thing Spike Lee said was he wanted to make it funny. He wanted to add comedy to it, which is a great touch because it's basically a black comedy at this point. It's labeled as that. I think it's not quite a black comedy, but it has elements of that.
Because Adam Driver is a lot of the movie. I mean, once they get into the investigation, you see him more than John David a lot of times.
Yeah, because he's the physical
I mean, he's the
embodiment of the thing. And but the comedy elements are really well done.
They are.
It really offsets the tone to keep it interesting. It keeps it from being too heavy.
Yeah.
And, it doesn't. This is a heavy topic that could easily weigh down the movie, and sometimes it does because it's so rough to watch certain parts of it. And so having that little element of humor really helps it go by, which is something that the idiot Zack Snyder has no idea anything about.
Well, what is humor anyway? I mean,
he doesn't know.
That's for children.
He thinks people that like Batman are funny.
God.
So, that's different. Anyway, we could turn this into that.
Yeah.
That type
Speaking of another director we hate. Yeah.
But no, and again, I'm not a huge Spike Lee fan. No, I haven't seen many Spike Lee movies. It's just not usually that draws me to it. One of the movies we did in our early version of Movie Swap, just on the podcast, then Uncaped Crusaders review, all podcast platforms. you had me watch Inside Man,
Great
which
movie.
was really good movie.
Love that
really
movie.
good movie. And
which he did not write. He directed, but he didn't
well,
write.
same with this movie. He didn't write this one either.
Sure.
Anyway, but I did enjoy this. Very interesting premise.
Yeah.
Really well acted by everyone involved.
Yeah.
A good look at an historical event, and obviously one that's very, very timely to this day.
Oh, yeah,
Even
dude.
though this came out 2 years ago,
Yeah.
it still fits with the modern
And it was
day
right
climate.
after Charlottesville because
Right.
they had that at the end of the movie.
Yep,
It's
and
a little heavy-handed, I thought, but
yeah,
I get
but
it.
I was impressed with how this movie towed the line.
Oh yeah,
Of that type of
the restraint
issues.
was very unexpected for a Spike Lee movie.
Yeah, Spike Lee always, he always has the political stuff into his movies, and that's fine. But he does hold back a lot
Yeah, to his
with this
credit.
movie and keeps it the movie,
About the
keeps it about the
story.
characters,
Yep.
keeps it about this stuff, and you can reveal stuff through the story and the characters.
Dialogue,
and there's
yeah.
a big difference between doing that and then just preaching.
Yeah.
To people, and he really doesn't do that in this movie a whole lot.
No.
It's all played out through the characters and the story, which keeps it more interesting
Yeah.
and makes it a more entertaining movie.
Yeah.
On top of everything, so I really appreciated that, and
No, thank you.
and it makes you care about the movie at the same
Exactly.
time. Makes you
Totally.
care about the story and care about the plights of people and stuff. It gets the message across more. It gets the message across better
Yeah.
than when you just blatantly tell people how to behave or how to act or
Exactly.
stuff like that. And so, really well done by Spike Lee in this movie. And so I enjoyed the whole thing. I enjoyed it from start to finish.
Okay.
Performances are fantastic.
Yeah.
Again, I don't have much to say about the movie because it's good.
Yeah.
All the elements are good.
I will say, I do think it takes a little bit. The one scene that I was kind of hinting at that goes on a little bit too long.
Yeah, I was wondering what you were talking about.
Was the one when at first he goes to the rally by the one activist guy, and
Sure.
it goes on for a good 10 minutes about
Yeah.
his speech. That felt a little bit like we're not really in a movie at the moment. We're kind of hearing thoughts that Spike Lee
Sure.
wants to have on film, and I get that. And to be fair, that was probably also what a guy like that was saying back then. But I just thought it went a little bit long. But then once you get with Adam Driver actually going in and infiltrating, that's when the movie really takes off.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, but I still thought the scene was well done, and
Oh,
it was
yeah.
so well written, and
It was.
it was entertaining to listen to the guy talk. And a lot of the things you're like, yep, agree with most of this stuff, and then
Sure.
you get into the more radical stuff by the
yeah.
end. But again, that's all part of the plot of the movie, so it
Had
it
your
all
had
fits
your
with
one
the
boy,
stuff.
Richard Jewell, the one actor.
It did,
Yeah.
yes. I love seeing Paul Walker Hauser in there, and as soon as I saw him in there, I was like, oh yeah, this was like kind of his breakout role,
Yeah.
really his first major movie role, and no, he's fantastic. He's a joy to watch. Just the drunk fat guy who just saying all the wrong things.
You're wondering
and-
why are you even in the KKK?
Right,
You
and
don't
even
hate
the other
anybody.
people. Well, and again, I love how they had the different type of characters
Oh, yeah,
in the
yeah.
KKK. You have the
Radical,
quote unquote normal
Yeah.
leader, and then you have the crazy radical guy, which I'm going to talk about him in a second.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
you have Paul Walker Hauser, who's just kind of the idiot.
Who's there for the
idiot
social
drunk.
gathering,
Right,
really?
right.
Not even the cause.
Yeah, that was
Looking for the hangout time.
that was fun. That
Yeah.
was fun getting to see him in that. I had a similar experience rewatching Community for like the 19th time with it on Netflix, and but this is the first time I've rewatched the whole series since Richard Jewell came out. And so I'm watching the series, and then here he shows up with one line
Oh, wow.
as a character in an episode where Abed's pretending to be Jesus and making an episode about him. It's this he's making this meta movie about stuff. It's very complicated. Watch Community, but Paul Walker Hauser walks down the hall and says something to a couple characters, and I was like, "Hey, there he is!" So I tweeted about it, and he retweeted and responded
nice.
about it, and was like, "Yeah, it was a long day of filming, and he
For
loved
one
doing
line,
it, and
yeah.
whatever." Yeah, all for one day. He said the
yeah.
lighting was wrong, and it took them hours and hours, and he got paid overtime, so and everyone was nice. But anyway, yeah, love seeing him.
Yep.
But I want to talk about Felix a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we just talked about Tombstone. He looks exactly like Johnny Ringo.
You're right.
And
You're
talks
totally right.
exactly like him and acts He's Ringo.
That's what
He's Michael Bihn's Johnny Ringo.
you nailed it. Cause
But like straight, and even just straight, if you strip the whole character down and just made him just a racist,
Yeah.
it's Johnny Ringo.
yeah. No, you're right. I was wondering. I've seen this guy from something, or he reminds
You
me of somebody.
haven't, but you think it is because
You're right.
he looks just like Michael Biehn in Tombstone.
You're totally right. Oh my God. Good call.
And so the whole time it just made me smile watching this guy's
now I want to
character.
rewatch it as him as Ringo.
Because that's what it is. He's being Johnny Ringo, and he's awesome.
Ringo, but incompetent.
I don't know how to pronounce the actor's name. He's some Finnish actor. And
seen a couple
he
other
came into
things.
the audition in character.
Oh, wow.
And didn't reveal anything about himself.
That he was, like,
and then
Finnish.
finally Spike Lee ended up asking him, and he's like, yeah, I'm Finnish.
Wow.
He's like, wow, really? And no idea. Hired.
That's effective. That's a good idea.
So yeah, no, he's great.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great character. Just the typical loose cannon character was a lot of fun.
Topher Grace is the head of the clan.
Topher Grace was weird. I
he's
felt
always
like
weird. It's Topher
I
Grace.
didn't always buy him as this
I
character.
think that's the point, kind of. I think there's some comedy that's supposed to come from, oh, it's Topher Grace who's the head of an evil organization. But I get it.
because I'm like, obviously he doesn't believe, what David Duke does, but I don't feel like he didn't sell me on that. And that's a hard thing to sell. It's hard to sell acting ideologies like this.
Sure.
When the actors obviously don't believe that at all. Sometimes it can be tough, and I feel like, I know it was tough for him because he went into complete depression afterwards and
really?
recut all 3 Hobbit movies into one 2-hour movie. Spent months, and that was his catharsis for playing that character.
Wow, that's...
It's a pretty interesting story. Yeah, he got real depressed after playing this character.
Wow.
And
what a weird
locked
way to
himself
deal with
away
it.
for months and recut the 3 Hobbit movies into one 2-hour-long movie.
Of all things...
Which everyone wants to see, but he won't release or anything.
Of all things to gain your sanity, don't watch all 3 Hobbit movies like that. My God, Topher.
Well, that's the thing. He was fixing it. Like, the whole point was him fixing the movies and making them into one
If you
movie.
want to fix it, just eradicate them. But
That's fair.
Damn,
You're
I didn't
Mr.
know
Lord
that.
of the Rings fan over
I
here.
am. Yeah, I like parts of The Hobbit, but we're not going to get into that.
But so he was the one character where...
R.I.P. Ian Holm.
That's true. Yeah, Ian Holm did pass away. Alien and obviously Lord of the Rings as Bilbo
movies, yeah.
Baggins. But so that he was the one character that I didn't necessarily buy, but I feel like that might, as you said, that might have been the point.
Totally, yeah. Because Topher Grace can really only play one character, as we know.
Yeah, not Venom.
No.
But okay, then John David Washington, the main character in this,
Great.
really his breakout role too.
Oh yeah. It's
The first major starring role in a
He's
major
great.
movie. Fantastic.
Yeah, can't wait to see Tenet.
But it drove me nuts. He sounds just like his dad.
I knew you were going to take issue with it, because he does.
No,
He
I don't
totally
take issue with that at all. It's
Oh.
just, he just does in certain scenes, but not all the time.
Not all the time, no.
But there are certain scenes where I'm just like, oh, I can't not hear it. It's just there.
Yeah.
He's just Denzel. Like, it just comes out.
Even in the trailer for Tenet, I'm like, that's Denzel right there. You can hear it, yeah.
It was
I like that.
the main scene when it really just was there was the bridge scene with him and Patrice. I think that's her name, Patricia.
Oh, the girl, the girl from Spider-Man.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was Liz. Yeah.
Oh, when you're talking about movies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That scene when they're walking out on the bridge,
yeah.
outside, and it is
right.
cadence, it is voice, boom, Denzel.
How could
and
you
I
not
was like,
lean with him? And
I was like, oh, that was pretty cool. I was like,
I like that. Yeah, I like
that was pretty cool. But it was so much so when they're talking about the films and the blaxploitation films
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff.
No, you're right.
And that really stands out. Just close your eyes, man, and it's Denzel.
Ron O'Neal or Richard Roundtree?
Richard Roundtree, Pimps Ain't Heroes.
Well, Ron O'Neal isn't a pimp, although he played the hell out of one.
That image does damage to our people.
Jeez, it's a movie. Give it a rest.
So some other I was just looking up some interesting trivia things with this movie. The fact that the real David Duke didn't find out about this story until a reporter asked him to fact check the book in 2006.
That's so good.
It's hilarious.
I do love that.
That is so funny. That is so funny, because obviously that's a great way to end the movie.
Yep.
Is with him just revealing that he's a black man, that he's been talking the whole time.
Calls on the phone.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Are you sure?
That is great.
was a
And just
highlight,
every
yeah.
scene with him on the phone,
Oh,
whenever the other people start to just go over and laugh, and that's
the
really
best.
well done.
Yeah.
It was really funny. Apparently there were no deleted scenes for this movie.
Oh, okay.
Which is super rare.
Never happens.
I don't know if I've ever heard of that, but that's one thing that I read. And then the other big fact thing I already talked about was Topher Grace getting depressed after it and recutting Lord of the Rings. So yeah, I mean, not a ton to not a ton to break down really with the movie. It's
straightforward movie.
Just well done. It's well acted by everyone.
Yeah.
The suspense is great.
Oh, yeah.
The
humor.
Yeah, all of that is.
Yeah, and,
well done.
and here we are, two non-Spike Lee fans, and it shows you that anybody can enjoy his film. So if if you aren't a big Spike Lee fan and you haven't watched this movie because of it, don't. Go ahead and try it. You might like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Some info.
Numbers, yeah.
So, came out in 2018.
Should have won Best Picture because that was a terrible year for Oscars.
What won Best Picture?
I think Shape of Water. Shape of Water, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a bad year.
This is way better.
Oh, yeah.
7.5 on IMDb.
Okay.
On Letterboxd, it's got a 3.9.
Nice.
High rating.
God damn, same as Gone with the Wind. Wow.
On Letterboxd. And then Rotten Tomatoes, 96% critic rating, and an 83% audience score, which I thought was a little low. I was a little surprised.
That could just be idiots who hate Spike Lee and...
That could be. That's fair.
Downvoted because it's a new movie of his.
Sure. But, yeah, so good numbers across the board as far as ratings go.
You can see why, yeah.
It was released August 10th, 2018, which coincided with the Charleston. The Charleston. What was it? Oh,
Charlottesville.
Yeah, Charlottesville, but
riots.
Yeah, but I forgot the name. Unite the Right. That's what it was called.
Okay.
Unite the Right rallies, and so the 1 year later, this movie was released on the same date. Only $15 million budget. Low budget movie.
Very low.
Made just under $50 million domestically and over $93 million worldwide.
Not bad.
Big hit.
Good.
Big hit for a $15 million movie.
Yeah. Especially a polarizing movie, you could say.
Yeah, definitely. So across the board, yeah, good stuff for that movie. Definitely go check out BlackkKklansman. It was a enjoying movie to watch for sure.
Cool.
Cause that coon, gator bait spade, spook Sambo, spear chucking jungle bunny, Mississippi wind chime, detective, is Ron Stallworth, you racist, peckerwood, redneck, inchworm, needle dick, motherfucker.
All right, now we got to move on to the hot button topic of the past few weeks.
Yeah.
The classic Gone with the Wind.
Sir, you are no gentleman.
And you, miss, are no lady.
Now, the latest in our cancel culture of cancel everything historical, regardless of anything. Now we're starting to cancel stuff that's not even offensive.
Oh my
Do you
God,
see that? Sorry, slight sidebar. The fact that aliens now on like the British Skynet or something or
BBC.
Skynet. Sorry, that's Terminator.
Might as well be how they're acting.
But they have a warning thing on aliens saying this contains outdated and offensive material, and you're just like, does nobody understand the point of the Alien movies?
Yeah.
Nobody understands the point that these are about strong female characters being able to do certain things and deal with certain things that men can't. How do people not understand this? The whole first movie of Alien is about birth and childbirth and the fear that men have of childbirth and the way women are able to overcome that.
Yeah.
It's like their own ideologies that are now getting canceled, and I don't understand. Sorry.
I want to talk about that, but I don't want to get too much off.
Anyway, so Gone with the Wind has been targeted because obviously there are obvious issues, social issues with the movie. It came out in 1939. It was very different, very much of a racist culture in America at the time.
Back then,
It was what? 70 years, 60, less than 70 years, 60 years, something since the emancipation of slaves. There are plenty of people alive at this time that were alive in slave time.
A couple Civil War vets were actually at the premiere.
Yeah, so there's plenty of issues as far as that goes, but
it's history.
One, that is history. We need to remember these things.
Yeah.
Once people start forgetting these things, stuff is then to repeat itself. Everyone knows this. History is doomed to repeat itself.
Yeah. It's not a bumper sticker. It's a real phrase.
Right. And so you need to remember these things. We need to look at these things. We need to know what went wrong with these things. We need to try and be better from it.
Totally.
Also, there's the whole element of it's a movie and entertainment.
Right.
And I'm able to pull entertainment out of things that I don't necessarily agree with overall premises or certain elements of movies, because no one's going to agree with everything.
No.
And I feel like, especially with something, for me, movies have always been entertainment first.
Right.
Obviously,
Same.
it's still an art form and it can be used as that, but for me, movies are entertainment and that should be the primary goal.
I agree.
It's a consumer market. Movies are entertainment.
Yeah.
And I feel like for people that just cancel everything or throw everything out just because they don't agree with certain elements of it,
They put movies.
I don't get it. It's like, why can't you enjoy the stuff that you do like with a movie?
Well, I don't even get the warning labels because apparently, because a big controversy around Gone with the Wind lately is that HBO Max, I guess, owns the movie in some way.
Or owns the distribution rights, the online, so whatever it is.
Has access to it. They took it off HBO Max because...
Well, I guess because it is Warner Brothers owned. So
oh, yeah.
That's
so,
why. Because it's AT&T owns Warner Brothers, which is HBO. Right. That's where that comes from.
Yeah, so they are going to take it off HBO Max because they quote the positive depiction of slavery in this movie.
Right.
Which is dumb for a couple of reasons I'll get into.
Right.
But apparently they're going to bring it back with basically a disclaimer before, like a warning label, which I don't get. For movies, I get for real life, you know, when you're about to show real footage of war violence or whatever, hey, viewer discretion. But again, a movie we know isn't real, even though if it's based on real events, it's a movie. If you need a warning label to say, hey, the orcs in Lord of the Rings aren't real, you're kind of an idiot.
No orcs were actually killed in the making of this movie.
Yeah, no, freaking, the Russians are not going to invade like they did in Red Dawn. You don't need, if you need a warning label for
Red
a movie.
Dawn. That would be a great movie to talk about. I love Red Dawn.
Oh, I do too. But no, so that's all stupid. But I mean, we'll get into it. This movie depicts slavery in a positive light. I must have watched a different movie, I guess. Now, I know they're mainly talking about the Mammy character.
Sure.
So the Mammy character is a great character. Great performance. First African-American to win an Oscar. But I guess
Hattie McDowell, very well earned. Amazing performance.
Yeah. What'd you call her?
It's Hattie
McDaniel. I thought you said
McDaniel, sorry.
Yeah, McDaniel.
Said McDowell. Wrong one. McDaniel.
Yeah, but no, she's great. And yeah, there's a bit of relationship between her and Scarlett where it's this kind of maternal... I mean, she raised Scarlett since how old?
Right. I mean, she was the housekeeper for decades or whatever.
And so she's treated fairly well. I mean, again, not treated like a human. That's the whole thing.
Right.
Even if you show the family treat Mammy somewhat well, it's not excusing slavery. It's not acting like slavery was anything but horrendous. And it was funny because people always bring that up, but they never bring up how she treats Prissy, the other slave. Where you see her hit her and demean her and talk about, whooping her hide. I'm like, so that depiction of slavery is okay, but not the other kind, which we have to be honest, happened. Not every slave owner was Michael Fassbender from 12 Years a Slave or Calvin Candy from Django.
Right.
We have to be real. And not every German soldier was a Jew-hating Nazi. Some were just Germans who fought in the war. And that's part of history. We have to take the good with the bad. And so the whole council culture is whitewashing everything, ironically, and making it, again, taking away some of the sting of the truth that we need to learn from and not shy away from. So I hate that. But in the movie, really, I hear a lot of people complain that it's a nostalgic kind of plea to go back to the old times of when the Southerners lived like royalty. Again, did I watch a different movie? This whole movie, the alternate title should be Rhett Butler was right about everything. Rhett Butler is the best. Because he's right about everything. One of the best parts of the movie is early on, it's right after Fort Sumter, but Lincoln hasn't declared war yet. So all the idiot Southerner guys are like wanting to go to war. They're all cheering it, having no idea what war is actually like because you won't be cheering for it.
At the plantation party?
At the party, at the barbecue or whatever.
Funny enough, I just watched that.
What, the movie or the book?
No, just that part.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I use the movies for the video. Yeah. Obviously, you've seen the clips and stuff. So I just was making sure everything worked. And just started playing it and was just fast forwarding to make sure it worked. And it was right to the party scene. Watched it for like the next 30 minutes. I was like, no, I need to stop. This movie's too long. I don't want to be up till 5 a.m.
But it's a great scene because they're all talking about it. And they're like, well, Rhett, what do you think? And he's saying, well, you're all so ignorant. He's like, the North is more stocked than you are. He's like, you're not ready for winter.
Right.
He's basically telling you, you're not ready for it.
They have the production facilities. They have all this. You guys have nothing. You have slaves and cotton. And
he even mentions that the South is unwilling to change because basically their whole mindset is, oh, no, we need slaves. We need cotton to be financially viable. But the North has industry. They have all that without slave labor. So that is threatening their ideology of how they live. And that's the whole point of this movie is that when they refuse to give up on that, everything comes crumbling down. Because after Sherman, you have, instead of their slaves being able to work the field for them and then just gallivanting and having parties. They're all dirt poor. All the men who were cheering about going off to war and being a hero were either killed or they come back to nothing.
Yep.
And that's the whole point of this movie, is taking that hubris and being like, no, reality is called Sherman and he's coming in to teach you all your wrong ways. So I don't get the whole...
Burnt here to the ground.
I mean, we're from Atlanta.
We're in
we know.
Atlanta, so yeah, it was
people
gone.
still
That's
talk
why
about
there's not a lot of history in Atlanta, because it's always wiped out from Sherman and destroyed the whole city. It was
kind
and
of
that's what
necessary.
happens with these morons who think these horrible ways, and it's like totally got what was coming to them.
So I don't get
and
the
that's
whole...
that's the whole thing of the movie.
Exactly.
Is these people got exactly what was coming to them.
Absolutely. So
Including that this whole movie is about bad characters getting their comeuppance.
Yeah.
The main character of the movie is the worst person in the world.
But she's so
Scarlett
fascinating.
O'Hara is a horrible
awful.
person. A horrible person. And in the end, does she have a redemption thing? No.
Why?
She's thrown to the curb because she's a horrible person.
And because, like her whole lifestyle, she refuses to change. The whole movie, she is throwing herself at this block of wood Ashley guy, and Rhett Butler's telling her, no, you think you like him, even if you marry him, you're gonna be miserable, which she absolutely would be. But she won't get over it. So even when his wife is dying, she's still thinking, oh, now we can finally be together. And that was when Rhett just goes, all right, I'm gonna head out.
I'm out.
And he leaves. And of course we get
Lost cause.
And we get one of the greatest lines in movie history, of course. But no, Scarlett is a very fascinating character because you hate her.
Oh yeah.
But she has some redeeming qualities.
But she's so charismatic that you like watching her.
That too, no, totally.
Which is a perfect movie character.
It is, and again, it shows you that you can have a great female character without being a Mary Sue or completely good at everything and everyone loves.
Also, the flawed characters are always more fascinating characters.
Because Rhett Butler is also flawed.
Oh yeah, but the best thing about his character is he knows it and embraces it.
Yeah.
And we all like the characters who just embrace their own flaws and are just like, yep, I'm like this.
I mean, there's so much cool trivia to this movie. It would take forever to go through. But did you know Gary Cooper was originally supposed to be Rhett Butler?
Yeah, I saw. There was a lot of back and forth between them because Clark Gable was under contract with MGM.
Yeah.
And they were not going to give him up. They didn't loan any actors out. And so Warner Brothers were like, no, we need Chad Gable. So Chad Gable. Sorry, thinking the WWE wrestler.
God.
And so, wow. And so they had this big trade thing where they were going to give him like Errol Flynn and Olivia de Havilland and like pay for half the budget of the movie. So MGM ended up doing all this stuff, or getting all this stuff to so that Warner Brothers could use Clark Gable in the role. There's a lot of that stuff in this movie. Like the fact of finding the Vivian Leigh character, like the hundreds of auditions for Scarlett of unknowns, couldn't find anyone, then finally found her. Literally, they'd already filmed stuff. Because they filmed the burning of Atlanta, I think, like a month before the main principal photography started. So, and they hadn't cast her yet. They didn't cast her till like a week before they started shooting or something like that. Yeah. So there's a lot of weird stuff with this movie.
But one of the funny trivia was that, originally Gary Cooper was offered the role and he turned it down and saying, no, that movie's going to be a huge flop. And it's literally the most successful movie of all time. Which I thought was funny, but there's so many great trivia. Freaking Clark Gable and Vivian Leigh smoked 4 packs of cigarettes a day back then. Can you imagine? Like,
hey, that's before it was bad for you, man.
I know, but
smoking was not bad for you before the 60s.
No, it was fine.
It was perfectly fine.
But just the smell and having to kiss, I'm thinking about that. Like,
well, but think about it. If you both smoke,
I guess,
I feel like that kind of
But even
cancels
just
it
being
out,
around,
right?
like hearing them talk, if you don't smoke, like I can't imagine filming and be like, like.
Well, think about it. I mean, I'm sure all the producers and directors are doing it in every movie anyway,
true.
so it's probably always just.
But I'm like, God,
just
man, back then,
waft of
different
smoke
times.
everywhere.
No, totally.
Like a Tarantino movie.
And then interesting, as we talk about, this is 1939, segregation still going around. The film premiered in Atlanta, and Hattie McDaniel couldn't attend. And so Clark Gable threatened to boycott, and he was like, I'm not going if she can't go. And she eventually convinced him to go, but I thought that was cool.
Yeah, because there was still full-on Jim Crow laws and everywhere in there. Because again, this is the 30s.
Yeah, this is reality. But no, and I feel like I didn't talk about the movie. The movie's great, I think. Surprisingly, despite the 3-hour, 40-minute runtime,
it works.
You don't feel it until, I will say, the first. I feel like most people agree. The first half is obviously the strongest point.
Sure.
That's the backdrop of the Civil War. Sherman.
The dialogue's amazing.
Dialogue's amazing. You get all the great scenes, and then the second half is a little bit slower. That's where you kind of focus on her and Rhett's, marriage and stuff like that, but still good. But yeah, that first 2 hours flew by. I was like, oh man, how much I've left? I'm like, oh, hour and a half. Oh wow, which normally would be pretty awful, like The Irishman. but no, like I enjoyed it. I thought everybody was great. Obviously, freaking Rhett Butler and Vivian Leigh, Hattie, everybody. I mean. I love epics, and so this movie is one of the all-time.
Epic of epics.
And I was thinking, I really feel like the last epics we really had were Lord of the Rings, where we haven't had that since, because epic isn't just the movie, it's the filmmaking.
Right.
And like some people could argue, oh, the Avengers are new epics in scope of what they're doing, but again, the filmmaking nowhere near in terms of like they burned old sets, they burned like the temple wall from King Kong was what they used to burn for the fire in Atlanta. So they were burning all this stuff, and they basically said if that did not go well and that fire was bad, the whole movie was stopped right there.
Yeah.
And so that's what I mean by epic. It's not just scope, but like filmmaking.
Yeah, and the scale of the making of the movie itself.
And now the extras.
Insane with these old Hollywood movies. Because again, no CGI.
No.
So they were having to work with matte paintings and with actual people and actual sets. And so some of these shots,
the crane shot they used in Blackkklansman is incredible.
That shot of Scarlet walking across the wounded Confederate
we'll never see that again.
Campsite, and it just keeps going and keeps going and
like
keeps going.
People.
And at some point you're like, all right, it's got to be a matte painting at some point.
Yeah,
but
where's
there's
the
still
cutoff?
movement.
Yeah,
like there's still. I mean, obviously there's a ton of dummies.
Right.
But every, I don't know how exactly they space them, but every 4 or 5 things, there's still a moving character, either walking around or moving on the ground. And there had to be thousands of extras.
Yeah.
That lot is massive.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it is one of the most impressive shots you'll ever see in a movie. Just the amount of things that had to go into that is mind-boggling. I have no idea how long it took them to film that one shot. It had to have taken them days.
Well, I know at the end of it, they had 88 hours of footage to work with. So
but apparently there was like 100 days of filming.
Like
literally days.
Yeah.
And they used 3 different directors.
Oh yeah. That was
on the movie too.
Yeah.
Like,
but can you imagine being the editor and
okay, it's physical film.
You have to cut it. You can't even digital. Like, I'll get a cup of coffee and come back as it renders. No,
it's just back up the truck.
Well, that's the funny part. So it took 100 days to film, and then what? 2 years to edit, probably. I mean, like,
oh my gosh. God. No, because they filmed it in 38 and it came out in 39.
I know, this is crazy. So that poor guy.
I have no idea how they were able to pull that off.
His family for a year, but no, I mean, so that's what I mean by epic, and that's where I get nostalgia. Not even though we grew up in the South, I don't care about going back then and living like that, because the other funny part is that the movie shows how the aristocrats live. They don't show you how the rest of the Southerners lived. Majority of who were the ones fighting and dying in the war. So
garbage.
Exactly. So they're not thinking, oh, let's go back to those times. It's great. So I thought that was interesting. But no, really good movie. I mean, again, I thought it'd be like pulling fingernails, with that 3 hour and 40 minute runtime.
You do. That's why I didn't watch it for years. I didn't watch it till a couple of years ago. Because just like you sit there and you're just like, 3 hours and 50 minutes long.
And normally I don't mind a long movie, but that's pushing it.
That's way long.
Yeah, but again, when you have an epic story that really has a great script and great characters, you don't feel
flows well.
Yeah.
It's almost, to be honest, this is what I thought, even when I was watching a couple of scenes yesterday. It's like a Netflix show.
Yeah.
It's like, because these Netflix shows, these like mini shows or whatever are, 6 episodes long.
John Adams.
An hour long, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's about what this movie is. I mean, if you could cut it into a couple of pieces, and you have 5 or 6 episode, 40-minute a piece Netflix series, which is the way stuff goes. I mean, stuff's not done episodically anymore.
No.
Because of binging. It's done all kind of together.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And that's really what this feels like, because you're seeing so much character development. That's normally stuff you see from the length of a TV show.
No, yeah, you're totally right. It just shows you the talent behind everything. But yeah, no, it was. I enjoyed it a lot. Will I be watching it again anytime soon? Probably not. Like you did, I'll probably go back and watch the great scenes, of course. But I mean, no.
I don't know. Just watching like the 20 minutes yesterday, I was like, man, I kind of want to watch this again. I wish I had time.
Again, that first half, I'll watch that first half again. That's very engaging. But yeah, no, a great movie. I'll get to some of the numbers. Obviously, high praise until recently.
Right.
8.1 on IMDb, 3.9 on Letterboxd, 91% critic, Rotten Tomatoes, 93% audience. So, I mean, even as it gets.
Yep.
Here's the cool part: is the budget and gross.
It's nuts.
So again, this is for, before inflation. Budget for this movie, $4 million, which
It's huge.
huge
for
even for
39.
back then.
Good
yeah.
gosh.
It grossed at the time $400 million, which if you
Okay, now was that in how? And was that in
Worldwide.
how many releases?
Oh God,
Because it was re-released like 100 times.
that's true. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean,
Back in the day,
yeah.
like they were like every 2-3 years, it
Yeah.
was back in theaters.
But I read an interesting fact. Literally, this movie sold 200 million tickets, as in people going to the theater to watch that. So take your average ticket price nowadays, and you end up with the number of what it has grossed today, which is $4 billion. I mean,
adjusted for inflation.
Yep. I mean, Endgame made not even $3 billion. So and that
Oh
shows
man.
you, no movie is ever going to come close to that.
Red, you go. Where shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
And then the one last thing I want to talk about is talking about the whole cancel culture and all that crap. The one silver lining is that this is the perfect excuse for owning digital media.
Yep.
That's why.
Owning physical media.
Physical
you mean.
copy. Yeah, no,
Not
sorry,
digital
physical.
media. Physical
Damn it,
media.
yeah, physical.
Like here, all these.
Exactly.
Physical media.
I know this is,
That's all we
prehistoric,
use.
But they
all
can't
we
touch
got.
it.
Sorry.
They can't ruin it. Once you own that copy, it is yours. And
Mm-hmm.
you can't have idiots years later being like, oh, actually, I think The Help is a little bit too insensitive. Like, that movie came out 10 years ago, and it's a whole movie. No, it's too insensitive.
See, the good
now.
thing is people like us, nerds like us, understand this. We've known this for years
We
because
have.
of George Lucas. George Lucas taught us that.
Ridley Scott, too.
Yeah.
And the countless others.
With the constant changings of original movies.
Yeah.
And now it's just going to start. Although that was for different reasons.
Exactly.
That was
Now-
for creative changes. Now it's going to be.
That's
Now it's
okay.
going
I
to be
mean-
for PC changes.
Exactly.
Which is even worse.
Dumb.
And yeah, own physical media because one day, with the rate we're going,
Yep.
everything's going to go away. Everything's going to be pulled. Everything's going to be censored.
There's going to be a committee that approves everything, every script, every line of dialogue, every actor. No.
Yep.
No.
So physical media.
That's the way to go.
Wow, that was creepy.
We did not plan that.
All right, so now it's time, shifting gears, it's that time of the show where we talk about what we want the other one to watch. So clearly you're already prepared.
Oh,
so
yeah, I'm prepared.
What are we,
Well-
what do you have for me?
Well, sticking in the same time period, but different genre, not epic,
70s?
Civil War.
Oh,
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
yours.
yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And like you did for me last time, I'm going to have you watch a Western.
Another Western. We're going with the Westerns. I love it.
But very different Western. This is more art house Western. I'm curious to see what you'll think.
Interesting.
This is, I will warn you, slow movie, but great performances, beautiful movie, Roger Deakins cinematography.
Sure.
I'm going to have you watch one of the longest titles ever, The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford.
This is one that I think I've even started once or twice. Like I've been meaning to watch and just hadn't got through because I love Brad Pitt. And so, I watch anything with Brad Pitt.
Why not?
So
This is a great movie. I'll be curious to see what you think. But prepare yourself. There are times that drag, but beautiful movie, great narration. I love it. Based on the book,
wow,
which I
very
read.
nice.
I did a whole book report about it. But I think you'll like it. Check it
okay.
out.
All right.
Great cast.
So what is it called again?
The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. Okay. So that's what I'm gonna watch. I'm not gonna say the title because I can't remember it.
I'll do it next time. I'll look
But
forward to that.
yeah, jeez, it's gonna be
You
half
can't
the video.
abbreviate. Yeah.
I'm gonna just whatever. Anyway. All right. So shoot.
What you got?
All right. So I had you watch 4-hour-long 1930s epic last week.
Longest movie we've done yet for movies.
The longest movie we will do. The longest movie probably
Yeah.
ever made.
Yeah, I don't think
And
we will.
that doesn't count weird expressionistic stuff that are like 12 hours long of one room or something.
Yeah.
No, so I went the exact polar opposite. I went as far, I looked through my list and I was like, what movie is as far away from that as possible?
What would be?
And this is what it is. We are gonna go to the 1980s,
Of course.
and we got a John Carpenter movie,
Okay.
Kurt Russell, Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, Okay, I will give you credit. That is pretty opposite.
It's like an hour, 40 minutes,
Okay.
something like that. It
Okay.
is about this weird supernatural, weird Flash Gordon movie
Yeah.
with Kurt Russell as a truck driver who fights weird alien something ninjas, whatever. I don't even remember, man. This is one of those movies you watch and you're just like, I don't even know what I'm watching, but I love it.
Yeah, like, what else would you have recommended after watching that?
I don't know.
Oh, you watched this. You might like weird crap.
I don't know.
But hey, Kurt Russell.
But it's Kurt Russell. I like John Carpenter.
I do too.
I like a lot of his movies.
Sure.
Obviously, Halloween's great. The Thing is great.
The Thing.
I love Big Trouble in Little China. I even like Red Planet, the weird.
Val Kilmer, right?
Yeah, that's why I watched it.
Of course.
Val Kilmer, Red Planet. It's not good. It's not really that good, but I still didn't mind it.
Sure.
And yeah, so weird John. Oh, They Live.
Oh,
awesome,
yeah,
another
yeah.
awesome John Carpenter movie. But yeah, so John Carpenter, right in his element in the 80s. I want to say it was like 87 or something. I don't exactly remember which year it was, but obviously we're both huge Kurt Russell fans.
How can
and
you not
you
be?
can't go wrong. It's
National
fun.
treasure.
Again, it's going to be one of those next week where it's like, what are we going to talk about? Not much a breakdown,
about
but
Kurt Russell or Love
how
Kurt.
great Kurt Russell is.
It'll just be
so-
another episode of Loving Tombstone, probably. We'll segue into
Turn
that.
it into another episode of Loving Tombstone. yeah. But yeah, so I decided to give you a break and just go
Okay.
opposite direction.
All right, well, I appreciate that.
All right, so that's what we're watching. I'm watching The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford.
There you go.
And he's watching Big Trouble in Little
Trouble
China.
in
Another longer title, I guess.
Yeah,
you could say.
compared to.
Yeah, but so that's what we're watching. We're a much lighter episode
Yeah.
next week than it was this week. So thank you for sticking with the much heavier episode of Movie
like,
Spot.
yeah.
Probably the heaviest episode we'll ever talk about, to be honest. But fairly topical. Feel like some of the stuff needed to be said, and yeah, it worked out.
It did.
Any final thoughts?
No, it's good to watch two movies kind of dealing with the same topic from completely different time periods. It gives you a lot of perspective that we need.
Yes,
Good
yes.
and bad. We need. So
People don't look at both sides of things anymore.
Nope.
And big thing, discussion is important. We need to have discussion.
And movies are important. With that.
Yes,
They help
and
with that.
movies are a big part of that.
They
Exactly.
are.
You can see a bunch of different ideals from movies. Some you agree with and you don't agree with.
Of course.
But yeah, so that does it for this episode. Make sure and follow us on Twitter at Uncaped Review.
Yep.
Post all the links for everything, all the
Ramblings.
random thoughts
Yeah.
of pop culture and movie news and all
Yep.
that stuff. Check out our podcast, the Uncaped Crusaders Review, on all podcast platforms, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all that stuff. And that's where we talk about Batman.
Yep.
We've reviewed every single Batman movie ever made already, so go and check that backlog. And we've also reviewed several other movies. We did the Spider-Man, Raimi trilogy, and several of those. And we're going through the TV shows right now, the Adam West Show and the Batman Animated Series. Back to back, we alternate every week, so check that out. You can follow me on Twitter at MarkyMarkBrand.
You can follow me at Ian Bark.
And also, I finished my Back to the Future script.
No kid. Oh, the script.
The script, not the video.
I was like, what?
finished adapting my essay into a, it could be multiple parts, but
Yeah, I'm sure it will be.
I got a Back to the Future video that I will
Nice.
be come out hopefully within a month or so that I'm
okay.
able to record and
ambitious.
edit all the stuff. I know, it's a big thing.
All right.
And it could be multiple parts, but it's on the true main character, the true hero from Back to the
There you
Future.
go.
Might not be who you think it is.
Okay, I look forward to that.
So yeah, so I finished the rough draft of the script and now got to put that together. So that'll be coming up on this YouTube channel, hopefully within the next month or so.
It's safe to say before Avatar 2.
Yes, before James Cameron finishes his Avatar movie, it will be up. But anyway, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, cool.
All right, well that does it for this episode of Movie Swamp. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I'm Mark.
I'm Ian.
We'll talk to you next time.